Well, it's certainly. Did you see the what do you call it? The like next time on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Winterfell is getting attacked or something.
Yeah, I just hope that that's not.
Which
I'm
like,
so used to those things being so deceptive. I'm hoping that's not the last 5 minutes and that's really going to be episode 3. I'm hoping it's not
oh,
like,
now that you said that,
hoping it's not like the very end of it is
oh
when,
wait,
oh, here they are, they're
I don't even
coming,
know
and
what to
then,
do.
I mean, that could make sense and they'd still have all of 3 and 4 for action, 5 for action, and 6 for wrapping things up, kind of, and I just,
Yeah,
I'm so impatient. I don't
I
want to
don't.
go another week without.
I don't want to have an episode that feels like it just has to wrap things up.
No, it won't. I think the very last episode will be like intense action where like the ending, maybe the last half an hour or whatever, 45
And
minutes wraps everything up.
yeah, and if I could see the ending coming, I'm not gonna feel like, oh my god, I'm so smart, I predicted it. I'm gonna feel like, oh my god, that was kind of predictable.
Yeah, and
So I really do want to be surprised.
yeah.
I remember a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, they had said, and by they I mean David Benioff, D.B. Weiss, said that the ending to Game of Thrones would be bittersweet. I
Yeah.
was kind of like, I totally get that.
That's
And
exactly like what I was
and I-
saying, kind of.
Yeah, and I feel like I was like, it could totally be bittersweet. Like maybe like who wins, like is who you wanted to win, but what did they really win? Because
Yeah,
I'm running out of time.
because a lot of people died still, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be some mix of, but I don't know. I'm hoping that there's a way that they can surprise us to where it's not just like that, where it's not just so predictable. Like I don't want it to just be like okay, a lot of people we like died, a couple of them still lived, everything sucks, but you know they're gonna rebuild. Like all right, that's very predictable.
why do we care?
Like that's just so predictable. I want there to be some sort of crazy outcome. Like that's why I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of season 7. I'm like one of the only few. I thought the action scenes in that are getting to a point where I don't want the show to go because I feel like that was predictable
Like
and also I really just thought it got like sloppy with like what they were. Everything before that I thought was very smart and planned out, and then all of a sudden like I didn't like how John and that tiny group decided to go north on their own to try to get a White Walker, I guess, to bring to Cersei. To me, that didn't make sense. From like a perspective of how smart like Tyrion is and how smart John had been, it's like you're gonna risk the most important people to just blindly try to go into the most dangerous place and maybe luckily find one stray White Walker on his own to bring back for proof. Like when they were pitching that idea or whatever, I was like, that sounds really like a bad idea. And then I didn't like when they're on the frozen lake and are completely surrounded and somehow lived. That made no sense, and that kind of to me like discredited the White Walker's scariness a little bit, because I understand the lake was like they were waiting for it to like freeze or whatever, but like why don't you just like shoot arrows or throw spears at them? Like they should have been dead. And
Well, especially when that spear wrecked that dragon.
Yeah, and I'm just saying like they know like the Night King, like he's smart enough, like he knows that that's Jon Snow. Like like why would you just toy with him and be like, well, we're gonna let him? They clearly didn't purposely let him live, because then they tried to kill him. It's like, why didn't you just? Because before that, I thought that White Walkers are kind of like zombies, where they just want to kill everyone, and it seemed like that was the first time they're kind of like, we're just gonna toy with them, I guess, and then give them an opportunity to live, and then. Just a couple other things with that, like it made no sense. Well, and people kind of comment on it and joke about it, but like it bothers me. But like, how did Gendry or whatever it is, how did he have time to run all the way back to the wall and send a raven to Daenerys and get her dragon there by the time they were still standing on the lake? To me, that made no sense. I'm like, what is the time frame? I thought we were talking like miles and miles, not like you're running a few football fields and sending a raven that takes an hour.
I had to super ignore that fact too.
And then the only other thing is like, I understand Jon Snow's important, but I just thought it was the dumbest thing ever that Daenerys took her dragons, because you already know that that's the most important thing for winning the war, and they had already all agreed that the White Walkers were such a threat, and it's like you're gonna sacrifice all of that. Like, you gave him a dragon.
Yeah.
Like, I would say before that happened, I'd be like, all right, guys, we're the huge favorites to win this war. We've got 3 dragons that can like totally destroy them. And then you just gave him one for basically no reason. Like, I would have taken Jon dying and Daenerys just moving on with it, because she only knew him for like a week.
Yeah.
Like, I would just take that and keep my 3 dragons, and it just, she's so smart up until that point, and Tyrion's so smart and all that, but then it's like, well, I think Tyrion, did he try to stop her or something, maybe?
He tried to stop her from going, yes.
Yeah.
But he didn't really, like, try all that hard.
Yeah, it's just...
And Tyrion's character has become weaker
Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
series. And it's not... He's still a great character.
Mhm.
It's just... Actually, Sansa kind of hit the nail on the head. She was like, oh, I thought you used to be, like, the smartest person I knew.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like... Yeah, I was kind of like, why did he think that Cersei was actually sending her troops up? Because she's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did try to stop her from going. And
Yeah.
I didn't see... I didn't see one of the dragons becoming corrupted coming, but I definitely did think that at some point I was like, at least one of these dragons is gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. I kind of saw it becoming corrupt. I kind of saw that whole thing coming when she decided to go. I think I even said something to Hannah. I'm like, it's gonna become a White Walker, which to me is just like,
That is what happened, so...
when normal humans die and become White Walkers, they get stronger. So now, like, your 2 dragons might not even be able to... And didn't he get the best one?
No. Well...
He didn't get the main one?
It depends on what you say is best.
Like
Drogon,
the
the
biggest
big red one, is the biggest one.
Okay.
He got Viserion,
Okay.
which...
It's like the middle one?
I believe so. No,
I just think
Drogon
that...
is the one that she rode
Yeah, okay. That's the...
in the latest episode.
Yeah. And the one John rode, you can tell was kind of green. Like the egg, I think. I would guess. I didn't notice that really, but then I saw it before it got on, and I'm like, oh, you can kind of tell it's like green.
Yeah, the one's green, the one's red, and what was the other one? Like, kind of like pale, yellowy?
Probably.
Can't really remember. Can't remember what she named it either. I thought she named one of them after her other brother.
Mm-hmm.
Jon Snow's dad.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know. I just really bothered me. He gave a dragon. Like, I would have liked it if I felt like the White Walkers out-strategized. You know, like, their attack on Hardhome was sweet, and they deserved to get some giants. They deserved to get some giants out of that and build their army, and that was like, man, White Walkers are scary, and they'll attack you when you're not expecting it. But, like, they were just handed a dragon. Like, I feel like they didn't deserve that. I feel like it was just annoying. And it's like, now they have this dragon. Like, how are you going to stop that? And it's also getting to the point based on the armies where, like, I don't want it to feel, like, unrealistic that they win. It's kind of always the same situation as, like, War of the Worlds, where it's like, okay, how are you going to... When you make the enemy so much more powerful, then...
Oh, you mean... Yeah, you mean the good guys winning. You don't want the odds to become so unbelievable.
Yeah, which it's not really, because they do have the dragon glass and they have the weapons and they have
a big
good,
army.
They have
but
good
like,
armies.
Are you going to try to tell me that the White Walker army's not at least the same size?
But what are you going to do about the dragon? Like, I feel like that dragon is like really strong now. I'm just like, once you make it so the odds are so out of your favor, you have to have a kind of like War of the Worlds ending where it's like birds disrupted all of it.
Yeah. The aliens forgot that they were allergic to water.
Or there's science.
Yeah.
Or there's the one movie that I forget what it was called. We saw it in theaters. I was like really excited to see it. It was another one of those like
Battle LA.
Yeah, and it's just
I don't even remember what happened.
Oh my gosh.
I just remember like being disappointed.
You can just predict it. It's like the whole time they're so outnumbered, so like, oh my gosh, there's no way we can possibly win. And then it's like, oh wait a minute, we figured out that there's one mothership that will take down the whole entire, all of it. And luckily it's only a couple miles this way. Let's, have an intense battle scene where we fight our way to it and save the day. I'm like, that's not realistic at all.
No, that movie really got me hyped.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to go see it, and I was like, I
Just
wish
didn't
we
make
didn't see
sense.
that.